seems to be the root of all evil and all happiness in this world. You know, they say money can't bring happiness. Well, I got a secret for you. Lean in really close so I can tell you. What they say about money, they're lying. They're lying to your face. We got bucks, we got bills, we got dollars, we got scratch, we got cash, we got greenbacks, we got script, we got green, we got long green, we got cabbage, we got kale, we got lettuce, we got loot, dough, potatoes, bread, bacon, clams, one large, 5, thin cheese, cheddar. You're probably asking, why in the heck are you talking to me about money, Dunk? What's so dang important about this conversation? A lot's important. See, back when my grandpa was alive, cash was currency. Now cash isn't currency anymore. You know what currency is now? Credit. What's credit? Credit is money that you don't have, but you spend anyway, and you pay back tenfold. The one thing that bothers me about credit is this. Everybody always says it's the government's fault that I'm in this financial situation that I'm in today, that I don't have a job, that I don't have this, that I don't have that I'm in such horrible debt right now. It's not the government's fault. I got another secret for you. In most cases, and there are exceptions, it's your fault that you're in the debt that you're in today. Not the government's fault. It's your fault. When my grandpa was alive, everything he bought for cash. If he couldn't afford it, he didn't buy it. If he couldn't afford a new car, he made sure his old car worked until he got a new car. Very simply put, he didn't buy it if he couldn't afford it. But you see, that's not the mentality of people today. People today look at something and they say, ooh, I want that. I need that now. I don't have the money for it, though. How am I ever going to get it? Oh, I can use my credit card. Or, wow, they're offering 12 months, no interest. Wow, I can get it for free today and pay for it later. That's awesome. But you see, it's not awesome. Why isn't it awesome? Because every time you buy something on credit, you're putting yourself further and further and further into debt. Back in the day, when we didn't have credit, people bartered, they did work for each other, they worked hard for everything that they got. They didn't worry about credit. They didn't need credit because they worked for everything that they had. And they only had what they could afford. And they adjusted their lifestyle to what they had. But our problem is we want to live at lifestyles above our means. And when we don't have the means to live at those lifestyles, we're digging ourselves into debt. Debt that in many cases people aren't going to be able to dig themselves out of. But if you do this, if you grab that notebook and you write every single thing from the pack of gum to the gallon of gas to that 20-ounce soda that you buy down on a piece of paper, and you're one of those people who thinks, I'm drowning in debt, I just can't dig myself out, you're going to come to a horrible realization. You're going to realize that you're being stupid with your money. The money that you do have, that you don't put on credit, you're being stupid with it. And if you were smart with that money, you wouldn't need to use the credit that you use because you think you're broke. There's ways to spend your money smartly so that you don't have to use credit. Simple ways. If you wrote everything down in a book for a month, you'd be amazed because you'll see all the stupid little things you buy that you waste money on. And you can still buy those stupid little things, but just buy them in bulk, let's say. Let's say you buy a soda every day and you spend $1.50 out of the little impulse buy refrigerator up at the checkouts. You buy one religiously every day when you go to work or every time you go to Walmart, at least one a day. If you were to walk back to the pop section, they have 6-packs of 24-ounce sodas, usually go on sale for around $3.50. So instead of paying $1.50 for a 20-ounce soda, you can spend $3.50 for an entire week's worth of 20-ounce sodas and get a few extra ounces out of it. Gum is another thing. Some people buy gum every time they go to the store. Instead of spending that $1.25 on that pack of gum, why don't you go back and buy a bulk pack of gum with like 6 of those identical packs in it for like $2, $2.50. So instead of spending $6, you're spending less than half that. So there's ways that you can get the things you want, but not spend the exorbitant price that you're spending for those impulse buy items that you always pick out at Walmart or Kmart or wherever you go. All I'm saying is be smart with your money. Think about what you're spending your money on. Think about the necessities first. And the things that are beyond that, if you're having problems with your bills, Cut things out. Hey, you've got full-blown cable. Drop down to basic cable. Save yourself $30 a month. Save on things like that. You don't need the fastest internet. Go with a slower internet. Save yourself $20. Don't go with that unlimited cell plan. Drop back a little bit. Save yourself $20, $30 a month. You cut back in a lot of those areas of the luxury items, we'll call them, things that we don't need to survive, you're going to save a ton of money every month. But the simple fact, and I'm going to use this as my segue, is don't spend it if you don't have it. There's people that use credit cards to buy food. I mean, this is a perishable item. You get it home, you eat it, it's gone, and yet you're paying it off for months, if not years. It's not a logical thought process to do things that way. Don't buy it if you can't afford it. Find out a way to afford it if it's something you really absolutely positively need. But buy it with cash, not credit. That leads me into the government and the way the government spends money. See, we're back to politics again. This is a political vlog for the most part, but I'm going to hit on other areas too. But the government and money, what do I think about it? One of the main things, probably the most important thing that the President and Congress should be working on right now is how to get our deficit, our national debt, back to the black. Because right now we are way in the red. We are approaching, over the next few years, $20 trillion in debt. All right? That's a ginormous number. Yet every year you see the government spending more and more and more money. So we're going further into the red when one of our major issues we needed to deal with was how to get back to the black. Why are we doing this? We're doing it because politicians don't have any ownership for this country. All they care about is themselves. Yes, there are exceptions. There are politicians who care about the people. But for the most part, they care about themselves, their own careers, and furthering those careers. And they don't want to make any decisions that could possibly be unpopular. Decisions that may have to be made in order to get us back to the black. We're talking tax increases. We're talking major budget changes. And some of those budget changes are going to affect major organizations that offer a lot of money to those politicians. So those politicians don't have that individual or logical thought because their supporters don't allow them to have that thought process. If you sit down with a financial advisor and you say, I am paying out more than I'm bringing in, they're going to sit down, they're going to look at your bills, they're going to say, all right, this is what you have to pay out every month. What are you wasting money on? Because you make enough money to pay your bills. Something's wrong here. So you're going to have to adjust your lifestyle. You're going to have to trim the fat out of your personal budget. That's the same thing that the government has to do. The government needs to do just what a financial advisor would do. Get a group of people together to look at our nation's budget, line by line, and cut everything out of it that's unimportant. Anything that's not gaining anything for America or for Americans. Things that are in there that don't need to be in there. Look at the programs that are funded. If they're unimportant programs, cut the funding for those programs. Or if they are important, we might need to look at the amount of money that we're giving to certain programs. And cut, if possible. Cut down to bare bones, but then look at the important programs. Look at education. Make sure there's enough money going into programs that are vitally important. Look at other organizational fundage that goes out, like to the military. Then look at how the military's spending their money and make sure that they're spending their money in the best way possible. But cut the budget down as far as you possibly can. And once you get it to a point where you can look at it and say, this is the absolute minimum bare bones budget America can have, but it's still a good budget. Then you look at the money you're bringing in as a country and you say, okay, is this money larger than the amount of money we have slotted to spend this year? And if it's a lot larger, you're doing good. And that's where you want to keep it every year. You do not want to close out a budget that says, hey, we're spending a ton more than we're bringing in. That's ridiculous. That's why we're headed toward $20 trillion a year. So don't close that budget and don't approve that budget until you're going to be in the black for that year and you're going to start paying your debt off, which is the same thing Americans have to do. Stop spending money you don't have because that debt that you have is your fault. And it sickens me to see the credit card debt for families just go higher and higher and higher every year. And the credit card companies are charging higher and higher and higher interest to survive as organizations in this country. So essentially, they're raping you of money that you don't have. They're taking your life away. So now it's time to take it back. So do that. Take your life back. I've run a little long, so I'm going to stop here. Once again, Dunk in the Trunk, so make sure you're watching me on a weekly basis. This one took a little while to put out. I will be getting an HD cam here within the next month, so if not my next vlog, the one after that's probably going to be a lot higher quality. Not going to have junk sitting in my trunk back there. I'll hopefully have a better backdrop and a much better picture and sound and everything. So stick with me. If you like what I talked about, give me a thumbs up. Write some comments down below. Make sure you subscribe. I want to get as many subscribers as I can. Post me, share me on Facebook, put me on your page, and I guarantee you it's just going to keep getting better. Once again, Dunk in the Trunk. I'll see you next week.